Hey, I'm Bacola. I'm in my 20s. I work in tech and live in one of the most expensive cities in the world. If you've watched my channel before, you'll know I used to be very structured about tracking every single expense. But I've recently stopped tracking, and as long as my savings and investing goals are met, my spending is aligned with things that make me happy and allow me to buy back my time. This week, I decided to challenge myself to track every single expense, and this is how it went. Before we can dive into the day-to-day expenses, let's talk about some base expenses that I have to pay every single week. So pre-pandemic, I lived in New York City for over 8 years, but due to multiple factors, but most importantly, the fact that I can work remotely, I decided to move across the Hudson to Jersey City. Not only do I not have to deal with aggressive subway rats, city tax, I also get access to slightly cheaper rent in Jersey City. So I live in this 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment that costs $2,900 with parking. This apartment is an extremely good deal for the amenities that you get in this apartment. We have a lot of really cool amenities. Not only do I have washer and dryer in unit, but I also have a rooftop in this building as well as a gym. And yeah, I really have enjoyed living in this building. And this is a steal for the price. So I do share this apartment. So my portion for this apartment, including the rent, parking, utilities, which are water, gas, electric, internet, I pay $1,400 a month, which is about $350 a week. Honestly, I do like living in Jersey City. There are definitely some cons for the cheaper costs in housing. The first con is that you spend way more money on transportation, and the second con is that your social life definitely diminishes a little bit because most people are not willing to make the trek out all the way to Jersey City. Now let's start with the first day, which is Saturday. Because it's winter, I'm honestly hibernating this winter. I'm truly not doing that many social activities. This Saturday, I decided to basically spend staying at home, finishing some chores, and doing some last-minute assignments at work. But today is a little bit different from my typical winter weekends because me and my boyfriend are deciding to celebrate Valentine's Day a little bit late this year, so we actually have dinner plans in the city. Because we're in Jersey City and the PATH train is not reliable during the weekends and is extremely slow, we decided to Uber into the city, which I paid for, and that costs $36.35. We decided to celebrate Valentine's Day by grabbing dinner at this restaurant in the West Village called Selena's. We love this place. We went about 4 years ago and it was one of our favorite dates that we ever had in the city. And we had drinks, tapas, and main dishes. It was $0 for me because my boyfriend decided to treat me to dinner. After dinner, I did cover the Uber back, which cost $51.57. On Sunday, we had plans to visit friends in Philadelphia, and we were going to spend the entire day with them. Gas for the entire trip was $35. We started by grabbing brunch. I had an avocado toast and matcha latte, and this was $0 for me because they decided to treat us to brunch because we drove all the way out there. After brunch, we headed to this really cool museum in Philadelphia called the Barnes Foundation. Tickets and parking for this museum cost $62. And this was honestly a really great museum. It had a lot of post-impressionist and impressionist works from artists like Cezanne, Renoir, Monet, Degas, Matisse, Van Gogh, and Picasso. It was really cool because this was a private collection of Dr. Barnes. The way they placed the art in the museum was just like how the art was placed in his home. So it was a very unique display because a lot of the artwork didn't have like the plaques that you'll see in typical museums, and a lot of the art was kind of like clustered together to show you how the art was displayed in his home. After the museum, we decided to grab dinner at this place called Tallulah's, which was really delicious. We got, of course, appetizers and main dishes and drinks, and it was actually way cheaper than our meal in New York City, and we decided to split it by couple, so the total for this dinner was $141.80. My boyfriend covered most of the day, but I paid for the parking and museum tickets, so I spent $62 today. Now let's move on to Monday. So typically on Mondays, I'm usually either working from home or commuting to work in the city. Today was a holiday, so I didn't have to do any of those things. And I decided to use this day to complete a lot of the chores that I've been slacking on. One of those chores is going to the grocery store. If you remember one of my last vlogs, I don't go grocery shopping because I don't want to. And I usually do grocery delivery, but today I decided to go into the grocery store to stock up on some of my favorites and because I had time. So this was definitely a more expensive grocery trip than my weekly grocery haul. And I went in person and was able to stock up on a lot of the essential items that maybe the delivery person might have a hard time finding in the store. So the total cost for this was $113.33. And because I was too lazy afterwards to meal prep, I decided to just make cabbage and eggs as my dinner. On Tuesday, it was finally a work day, but I started the day by actually going to a doctor's appointment. I had an appointment to do some dental work, and this cost me about $300 after insurance. One of the cool things about working in tech is the amazing perks that tech has, and one of the perks is that my company will fund your HSA account with $1,000 every year. Because I use my HSA card to pay for this cost me $0. And then I had to get home after the dental work, so I paid $10 for an Uber back home. The one con about living in Jersey City is that public transportation isn't as robust as New York City, and this area didn't have really amazing public transportation, and I cannot drive, so I spent the $10 to take an Uber back home. And then I, of course, worked from home the entire day. And finally, by the end of the day, I actually did meal prep. Meal prep is, for me, the essential thing that I have to do every week to stay healthy and to also save money. But I hate cooking during the week, so I usually dedicate one day, and that effort that I make that one day can feed me for like 5 days. So today I decided to do my meal prep, and I decided to do basically Chipotle style bowl. I made myself cilantro lime rice, black beans, and pico de gallo for this Chipotle style bowl. So on Wednesday, I went into the office because I actually had plans with friends after work. My transportation into the office includes the PATH train and the subway. In total, this cost me $5.50. When I lived in New York City, I usually would buy the unlimited subway ride, so it'd be slightly cheaper. But because the PATH train isn't included in unlimited rides, which I don't know why, I think it should be included, I no longer buy the unlimited pass. And also because, you know, I'm only in the city 3 days a week, it doesn't really make sense for me to get unlimited. It's better for me to pay per ride. So when I was in the office, I got to visit this really cute cafe that just opened. At my work's office, they have a lot of different cafes and cafeteria spots that you can eat food at, and the food is actually really, really good. So I spent most of my day at this coffee shop. For breakfast, I had a dirty chai latte and got some work done, and then I stayed basically until lunch. And for lunch, I had a huge bowl of ramen and some meat and vegetables on the side. And then after wrapping up my work day, I decided to head to Brooklyn to meet with a friend. The trip to Brooklyn cost $2.75, and I decided to meet her at Ovenly in Brooklyn, where I got this Earl Grey tea, which cost me $3.75. After grabbing coffee with her, I also stopped at the Apple store in downtown Brooklyn and bought my mom an iPhone. This was split between multiple family members, and this cost me about $300 for my share. Then I took the subway and then the PATH train back home, and this cost me $5.50. Okay, now it's Thursday and we're back to living that work from home life. And for me, I knew today was gonna be a $0 day because I had no plans to go outside. I have all the equipment to feed myself at home. And yeah, so I spent the day working from home, eating a lot of the meal prep that I made, and it was a $0 day. On Friday, this was another work from home day, eating the meal prep that I made, except my boyfriend decided to treat me to a Uber Eats meal. So I got this $18 black bean burger, but I spent $0 on it, so it was another $0 day. This week, I spent in total $940.75. Honestly, it is a lot of money, but I did meet my savings goals and my investing goals for the month, and it still is way less than I actually bring in. So honestly, I'm totally fine with this amount of spending a week. I think I definitely have categories in my budget, like my rent, cost of living, also a significant other reduces your expenses. So to be honest, I'm not mad about the $876 I spent this week. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button, tap that subscribe button, and leave a comment letting me know how much you usually spend in a week.